Kumar Rocker and Jacob Lopez have both been on a tear of late, and we have 3 Miami Marlins amongst our 10 must-add players on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ahne. As you can tell, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things, make sure you're subscribed. And, if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that has 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you do that as well. And guys, give us a chance on the Insiders track where we can give you so much more than we can in these 30-minute episodes, including instant notifications when those prospects get called up. And when we do these waiver wire rankings episodes, we give you, how you should prioritize them, give you a little ranking sheet and a little bit more info than we can in these 30-minute episodes. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And all right, Matt, a couple of young pitchers been on the upswing. I'll give this one away. Nick Martinez had a great one his last time out. And Matt, 3 Miami Marlins today? 3? That's a little bit wild, but we got some great names on today's episode. So, Matt, where are you taking us to lead off?
Well, we're not starting off in Miami, I'll tell you that much. We're starting off in Texas at the Texas Ranger, starting pitcher Kumar Rocker. And he's going up against the Padres later in the week. He's going up against them on Friday. It's not a bad matchup and not a great matchup either. He's kind of a guy that's just been out over the last 3 starts, been pretty solid. But again, the teams that he's faced has been a little bit more on the lighter side. Handled Seattle through 6, went 6 Ks, 3 ERA, 0.83 whip. Handled Pittsburgh, which again, anybody can go out there and pitch against Pittsburgh these days. 5.5 innings, got the win, 4 Ks, a 3.38 ERA with a 1.5 whip. And then handled the White Sox, which literally my 2-year-old can go out there and handle business. And went 5, got 6 Ks, got the win, no earned runs, 1 whip. So before that, he got smoked. So, he's up and down. If he's going into a tough matchup, it's a little bit harder to stream. Luckily, though, the part is that he's pitching on Friday. So he's more of a streaming option. This isn't a long-term solution. Kumar Rocker is just going to be a guy we're going to stream through, cupcake matchups. So what I do like about Rocker is he's going to be guaranteed to get you 4 to 5 strikeouts. I could say that. And if your ERA is already destroyed, but you need strikeouts, or you need to either catch up in that category or you need to hold down that category at that point, then I would add Kumar Rocker and I'd roll him out there and take the shot. If my ERA is intact, I'll probably bench him. But he's a name you want to kind of consider, have on the back of your mind the whole week, so you can kind of see where you stand in your matchup.
Yeah, Matt, it's a great take there on Rocker. You talked about those last 3 starts. Let's do the numbers, combine them all, right? 16 innings, 16 strikeouts, only 5 walks. That whip is a little bit over like a 1.01, 1.02, 2.20 ERA, a 3.21 FIP, which is fielding independent pitching. ERA indicator tells you where the ERA should be rather than where it is. So that's not, it's a runoff, but I'll still take a 3.21 ERA. So the kid's turning the corner. You mentioned it's bad teams, but you know what? Sometimes that's what it takes. Rocker's still very young, dealt with injuries coming up, some decisions on where he was going to play were also made. He's still only 25. Looks like he's turning a little bit of a corner. Hey, this Padres matchup, kind of a make or break, and the Padres themselves have been a little bit up and down. So, you know what? I want to see what Rocker's got. If anything, you're in a situation where, hey, I could throw Rocker, add him, throw him on my bench. You might not necessarily have to start him. Like Matt said, it's coming up Friday or towards the weekend. So you might not need to throw him out there, because I don't know who the matchup is after that. Might be a little bit better. But Kumar Rocker, former high-end prospect, won championships over at Vanderbilt with Jack Leiter in that rotation, was a deadly rotation. So there is a lot of upside here, especially in those deeper leagues, 15s and stuff like that. A guy who's only 16% owned in Kumar Rocker, who has this upside, has been very good over his last 3. You'll love to see it. So it's San Diego, then 1, 2, then the Angels. Hey, listen, then the Angels, Matt. You talked about the White Sox and the Pirates that we can go out there and get it done. Same situation with the Angels. So what if even if it's just a hold for Rocker, who it's the 4th, July 4th against the Padres, you get a cupcake matchup in the one after that. So I would at least like to see what Rocker's got, because you know what? If he's good in that Padres matchup and he has truly turned a corner, that Angels one should be a cupcake as well. But let's move on. Let's talk about Nick Martinez, who was dominant in his last start. And once again, Nick Martinez pitches for those Cincinnati Reds, in case you forgot. Last time out there, he went up 8 innings plus, gave up only 1 run, 1 hit, 2 walks, struck out 6. 112, career high pitches. Went into the 9th, was looking real great. Just had a very good outing, and he's been solid the whole season. I don't want to say great or good, but he's been solid this year. 16 starts for Nick Martinez, 5 wins, 4.12 ERA, a 1.16 WHIP, 94 innings, 69 strikeouts. And he's just been pretty good. You can't really complain at what you've been getting from Nick Martinez, especially if you got him in a deeper league. Next start is on July 2nd at Boston. And listen, Boston has had their up and downs of late. Mayer and Anthony haven't, been what we've expected them to be. Campbell got sent back down. Pretty sure Trevor Story's hurt, or if he's not hurt, he hasn't been doing that well. So that team over there, it's been a lot of ups and downs. And even Jarren Duran's having an okay season, but not who we thought he was going to be coming into the year. And they're batting .200 against right-handed pitchers since the beginning of June, Boston, and that's who Nick Martinez gets his next start again. He's 20% owned on Yahoo. That's criminally low for a guy who went out there and did what he did against the Padres last time out. I would go out there, snag Nick Martinez. He's definitely going to be a good streamer. And he's one of those guys that, like I say, so one of my sayings, you look back at your rotation at the end of the year and you may have forgotten Nick Martinez has made it all the way to the end of the season on the end of your rotation, because he could just be pretty good. And every time out there, can't drop Martinez. He's been pretty good this year. So go out there, and at least if you're snagging him for that Red Sox start, read you off those numbers there. And Nick Martinez looks like he's going to have a pretty good start against them.
Yeah, no, I mean, Nick Martinez definitely solid for the end of the week kind of type deal. I mean, I'm not mad at the start against Boston. Boston hasn't been good the last couple of weeks, so that start coming up on Wednesday is real nice. I'd definitely start him, and the ownership is real nice. But I'm going to move on. I'm going to talk about Jacob Lopez of the Oakland Athletics, another starting pitcher. And Lopez has been, kind of okay. I definitely am willing to roll him out, not really against Tampa Bay as of late, which is the same day ad for this episode, because they've been hot. They've been putting up points. They've been winning. And it's just not a team I feel great got going, especially with Lau, Brandon, however you say his last name, has just been crushing the ball over the weekend. So I don't know if I want to start him on Monday, but the second start in the week, he's a 2-star pitcher going up against the San Francisco Giants at the end of the week. That's kind of the better start, in my opinion. Even though with Devers joining the team, they still really haven't been able to win games. They've been up and down, either scoring points or not scoring points, and they haven't had like a world beater game in a little bit. So I'm kind of okay with that start, especially since it's at the end of the week. I don't have to make my decision till midweek, and then you can see, okay, do I really need to go out there and do it? Do I need to add him? Yes, no, and that's where you kind of get to make that decision. On top of that, over the last month, he's been pitching really, really out of his mind. 27 innings pitched, 2 wins, 38 Ks, a 1.98 ERA, and a .99 WHIP. Solid numbers over the last month. Handled Detroit in his last inning, last game, 7 innings deep, got the win, 6 Ks, no earned runs, .57 WHIP. Handled Houston with 9 Ks through 6 and a 1.5 ERA. Handled Kansas City with 9 through 6. So, I mean, he's been solid his last 4 starts and against pretty good teams. I mean, Detroit, Kansas City, Houston, even Baltimore has the potential to light you up at any given night. So I like it. I like the fact that San Francisco really hasn't been hot. I think that's the better matchup of the two. So I'm definitely willing to roll him out there. So Jacob Lopez, being that he's owned, 27%, he's out there in most leagues, 73% of leagues, should be starting against the Giants at least next week.
And guys, with that being said, before I jump in and give my take on Jacob Lopez, and then come on, man, who doesn't want to stick around to the intrigue of the three Miami Marlins? Who are they? What can they bring to your team? Those guys and more coming up next. Guys, summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You've already been following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling with FanDuel? You can get in on the game while your friends are sunburned at the beach. Personally, I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes every regular season game feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the ninth inning, and guys, come on, with all these great pitchers, Paul Skeens, Matt, come on, who else do we got out there? All these great names, Spencer Strider, just all these great names. You want to watch these guys go into the ninth, and FanDuel makes it really easy to go out there and get it done. So you know what? When FanDuel makes it, makes me feel like I'm getting in a part of the action, you're gonna always want to do that. So new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started right now. And all right, guys, come on. I know you guys want more than we offer in these 30 minutes. You want to be able to beat your, if you feel like you're not beating your league mates onto the waiver wire to get these top prospects, Matt and I got you covered. Join us on the Insiders Track. And not only will you get exclusive access to Matt and I, you'll get those instant prospect call notifications, and we'll rank these waiver wire guys for you, and we'll tell you how to prioritize them and pick them up. And we give you a little bit of extra detail, more than we can offer in these 30 minutes. So if you are interested in joining us on the Insider Track, the link is in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. But Matt, you broke down Jacob Lopez there a little bit. I'm going to give my 2 cents on him, and then we'll keep things pushing with a couple of more pitchers before we move into the bats, right? So with Jacob Lopez, he's been great of late, Matt. You broke it down. He's a really good strikeout pitcher. He has a good, track record in the minors of striking guys out. I like what he brings to the table over there, for the Athletics. Has been good of late. I at least, like you said, I'd grab him for that. If you got the same day ads, you might want to throw him out there for that Tampa start. Tampa's been pretty good of late, though, so that's going to be a little bit tricky. But same thing that applied with, Nick Martinez, or Kumar, rather. Has a great start later in the week, so you might want to throw him out there for that San Francisco start. But Matt, great breakdown of him, so I'm just going to keep pushing here. Let's talk about Will Warren, a New York Yankee. I feel like this guy has been on and off of teams all year, kind of just been up and down. But on another good 4-start stretch here of late. Especially even just the last 4 in general have been all equally pretty as good. So the last one, and specifically June 27th, Athletics, Will Warren went out there, 5 innings, got the win, 7 strikeouts, no earned runs, and a 120 whip. Thing for Warren, the whip is never going to be great, but he's at least been suppressing the runs of late. The strikeouts have still been high, including that game against the Angels on the 17th, where he went 6 innings, gave up 3 runs, 11 strikeouts, and a clean 1 whip. So Will Warren on the upswing here, and in his next start, he gets the Blue Jays. And you know what? Besides really Vlad, that the team just doesn't scare me. Santander, just a bad acquisition, hasn't been good for them. Bo Bichette's been up and down. Just not much of a threat on that team. Hey, listen, actually, we're going to talk about somebody later on the show who has been hitting for Toronto. But you know what? I think that's a matchup where Will Warren can go out there, get you a bunch of strikeouts, maybe give up 2 or 3 runs, give you some length. Has given 6+ in his, 6 or more in 2 out of his last 4, 5.2 in one of those starts. So almost get you the quality start in that one. But I like what Will Warren brings to the table. Big strikeouts, could potentially limit some runs as he's been doing of late. Whip, I'm not going to always bank on that, but he could win you a game too, because in 17 starts, he's got 5 wins this year. And those Yankees, they could win some games. I think
great take. Yeah, I figured that out. Great take. Honestly, I really don't have much to add other than, the matchup is pretty decent. I'm not scared of 2 players to stop me from starting a pitcher that I think has high strikeout upside on the week. So I'm definitely rolling him out there. That's Will Warren. Let's move on to our next guy, Dustin May, starting pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So he's been dropped quite heartily over the last couple of weeks. He's down 12%, all the way down to 38% ownership. But this next matchup coming against the Chicago White Sox on Wednesday or Thursday, I believe. It is on Thursday. And I think this is a prime little get right game. Look, when Dustin May is out there and is moving and grooving, you know, over a K per inning, decent ERA, decent whip, and a guy that you could actually kind of count on. I think Chicago White Sox, especially with Luis Robert hitting the IL, there is nothing to fear there at all. Like legit, there's probably a bunch of guys that are as round as me at the plate trying to hit the ball and just not being successful. So, Dustin May should go out there and absolutely clobber them. So I'm definitely going to stream him this week. Widely owned, a guy that must be added before his start on Thursday.
Yeah, man, I don't have much else to add except that I'm so disappointed in Dustin May this year, man. Finally healthy. Thought he was going to go out there and show what he could do and, at least a full season for him, however many innings that may be. Just been a tough year, but you know what? That White Sox matchup just is too enticing to pass up. Maybe it's the get right game for Dustin May because he had a little stretch there, at the end of May where he had 8 strikeouts in back-to-back games, then it followed that up with a 9 strikeout game. I mean, listen, the results weren't fantastic in those games, but hey, the strikeouts were coming. You thought maybe he was figuring something out and on the right track, but has just been pretty bad in June. But Dustin May, there's a good pitcher somewhere in there. It's a great streaming option. Once again, Dustin May, Los Angeles Dodgers starting pitcher, 38% owned on Yahoo. Matt, let's get into the bats. I've been teasing this all episode. Listen, we got 3 Miami Marlins coming up here, and they're interesting. They're interesting, right? Let's start with Otto Lopez, who I think has been the hottest of the bunch, arguably. He plays second and short on Yahoo anyway. And he's been leading off. He's been leading off over there, hitting third actually as well. It's been on fire of late. Look at this. A bunch of multi-hit games here to wrap up June. 3 for 5 on the 27th with a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 runs. Just literally been filling up the stat sheet to finish the month here strong. Otto Lopez in 66 games played this month is up to 66 games played this season is up to a 260 batting average, 35 runs, 8 homers, 38 RBIs. 8 steals, only 20% owned on Yahoo. And I know there's a lot of us out there that need help at second and short. So he's going to jump in there, give you middle infield. That's going to be awesome in those leagues where that applies. Got pop, got speed. And even if it's just a juice the orange type of situation, you might as well do that because, at this position, this time of year, it's going to be hard to fill. Otto Lopez, Miami Marlin, one of the 3 we're going to talk about today. I like him. I like him a lot, at least to get him on your team while he's hot.
Yeah, I think he's a great points league, Ed. He's lighting up the stat category this week, all the stat categories this week. But he's not really like a power guy, and therefore I think it's limited, especially with the fact that it comes with limited runs and ribby potential just because of the team he's on. But he's walking 24 walks to 38 strikeouts on the year, batting 260, has 9 doubles on the season, and the 8 home runs isn't atrocious. It's just not enough, especially since he only has 38 runs and 35 runs and 38 RBIs. I think way more valuable in points leagues, but somebody that you want to consider at least to stream while he's incredibly hot right now with the monster week in all platforms and then some. So, I'm definitely trying to go out there and acquire him, but definitely in points leagues, he needs to be added everywhere. Let's move on. So about Augustin Ramirez, another Miami Marlin, 50% owned, and he's been crushing it. This last week, 6 runs, a bomb, 6 ribs, batting 453, just really doing his thing. And then on top of that, even over the last 2 weeks, actually, I apologize. He had 2 runs tonight, so add that. So make that 8 runs in total. So 10 runs, 2 bombs, 12 ribs, batting 320 over 2 weeks. And over the month, still not doing bad. 12 home runs on the season, catcher and first eligibility. This is a nice little boost that you can get in the catcher position. So I'm going out there. I'm adding them if I can because there's still guys still not performing up to expectations that I think it's time to just move on from at the position. So Ramirez is a great streaming option until these guys either get right or just, a guy that you want to kind of probably ride till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, Matt, you know what the thing with a guy like Ramirez is that he was really hot when he first came up and, was hitting a bunch of homers and then cooled off. The pitcher started to figure him out, how to pitch him. And he's bouncing back. You love to see it. Listen, they adjust to me, I adjust to you. That's the name of the game, right? He's up to 50% owned. If you lost a Hunter Goodman, who's been a little bit banged up, Ivan Herrera, who hit the IL, guys like that, this is a great replacement, for now. And hey, listen, he might keep it going. And I think he's a guy who can continue to hit around 250, give you a decent, be like 25 homers pop. He's been hitting second, fourth, third in that Miami lineup. Listen, it's not a great lineup, but if you're hitting in that spot, it's going to give you some RBIs. He's up to 33 and 57 games on the year. Not horrible, but you know what? It'll get you by at least for now. But you know what? We got some more. We got one more Miami Marlin, and then we're going to talk about another catcher in Alejandro Kirk. Those names and more coming up next. All right, I guess let's keep things pushing here and let's finish up with the last Miami Marlin on this list, and it's Kyle Stowers. Listen, the Miami team, they've been hitting a little bit here and there. If they could just get some pitching, going over there. I mean, Sandy's falling apart. Edwin Cabrera, can't count on him, but we can count on Kyle Stowers at least of late. Been on a little bit of a tear here. A nice little 7-game hitting streak, 3 homers over that time. 9 RBIs, 6 runs. He's been really good. So you know what, man? A guy like this, once again, while he's hot, we ride the wave. He's got a little bit of pop in that bat. Not really too much speed, but he's got 3 steals on the season. Been hitting 5th of late, up to 40 RBIs in 77 games. Listen, it's tough pickings out there right now on the waiver wire. To get a guy like Stowers, in a 5 outfielder league, he's 32% owned on Yahoo. He's going to help. He's going to give you some power, a little bit of RBIs. I'm not expecting the world from many of these Miami Marlins, but you know what? Baseball's a game of ebb and flows while this Miami team's hot, and these guys are doing their thing. They're going to provide you with some value. Like I said, it's probably more of a 5 outfielder, 15-man, NL only type of situation with some of these guys, especially a Kyle Stowers, who I don't expect to be a world beater this year. But, we pick him up for now. We choose the orange, and then we move on to the next guy. And, over time, you might find one of these 2 guys to, be on your team for a little bit longer than you expected.
Yeah. No, I mean, Stowers reminds me of Jorge Mateo. Age 27, late age breakout that I think eventually is going to fall off a cliff. I'm going to ride him while the iron's hot. And then if I could sneak him in a trade and trade him away, that's kind of where I'm at with it, where like maybe I can get him to cross the finish line on a trade to get somebody and improve my team and level that up. So, keep an eye out for that and try and sneak him in deals. That's essentially where I'm going with this. But Stowers has been really good. So, let's just add him while he's out there. Let's move on, though. Let's talk about Mr. Nolan Schanuel, first baseman for the Los Angeles Angels. So I was actually a really big fan of him when he got drafted. Dude was really good. Actually thrusted himself into the bigs because he was just hitting at an incredible rate. The dude is always good for batting average. He's like my favorite rule. Batting average off the waiver wire. I can't really pass on it. But this last couple weeks have been really solid. 3 runs, 2 bombs, 6 ribs, batting 227 on the week, which isn't great. But over the last 2 weeks, hitting 250 with 4 home runs and 11 ribs, 6 runs. And over the last month, 12 runs, 4 bombs, 18 ribs, 2 stolen bases, batting 274. Now, he's never going to have long-term value. I think that he is just not going to come to fruition. But he's somebody that I still like. Has great launch angle, has great plate discipline, has a really good eye. He just doesn't hit the ball really hard, which is going to always limit his upside. But I think there will be a year where things kind of come together. He puts together where it has like 15 home runs, probably about 15 stolen bases, and bats like 300. Like that is actually a reality for him. This year, though, as a streamer, help my batting average, get the production, and ride the hot hand. I'm going to add Nolan Schanuel. He's only 18% owned, so he's definitely worth an add this week.
Matt, I have a very interesting comp here for Schanuel. Kind of almost reminds me of Austin Riley when we first saw him come up. Couldn't figure it out, as a big guy because Schanuel's a big dude too. He's 6'2", 220. I mean, listen, Riley plays third, Schanuel plays first, corner infield, almost kind of a similar situation. I love the eye on him, though. Like you said, the batting average stays, steady. He knows how to take a walk. He's shown a little bit of pop. I mean, 13 homers last year in 519 games. You don't love it, but hey, listen, he's getting the hang of it a little bit. Maybe we see the breakout. Maybe it's not not this year, maybe it's next year. Maybe we keep our eye on Schanuel to finish the year. Maybe he finishes strong, has a couple homers over his last 5 games, a bunch of RBIs. It looks like he's starting to figure it out. There might be something clicking here, like the batting average is going up every year, as you were talking about. 40 runs, in the 2-hole this year for the Angels. 79 games, not great, but he's getting the job done. Just really want to see if this kid could start connecting on the long ball, see if there's something here. But, if all of us if anyone that plays in deeper league, I'd give him that look at first base, and just see where the thing takes you. Because you never know. A kid like this who was drafted pretty high, thrusted himself into the bigs, and listen, knows how to take a walk, doesn't chase, squares the ball up nicely, knows how to find that sweet spot, has some underlying indicators that shows that this kid might have some pop somewhere in the bat. I want to see where it leads us. You know what? So where you need the first base help in those deeper leagues, I think Schanuel might be able to help. But let's move into this next guy, another catcher here. Somebody I didn't know how much we'd be talking about him this year, but he's getting it done. The big hurt Alejandro Kirk of those Toronto Blue Jays, right? Batting .315 on the year over 68 games with 22 runs, 7 homers, and 39 RBIs. Listen, he's been on a little nice streak here. He's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 game hit streak. Got 5 RBIs and 3 runs over that time. Had a 2 home run game right before this little hit streak on June 19th. Went 3 for 4 on that day with the 2 home runs and 3 RBIs. Like I said, catcher's been a little bit tough. If you have the Ramirez who hit the IL, if you have Goodman, who I know has been day-to-day, I know a couple other catchers have been banged up or underperforming, you sneak a Kirk in there, and he's actually up 13% over the last few days. Didn't even realize that, up to 62% owned. So if you've missed out on the, some of the other guys, if you play in a little bit of a shallower league and he's available, and you are dealing with injury or something of the sort, I'd go out there and give him the chance. The guy could hit for batting average. He's got a good eye, a little bit of pop, and can kind of give you a couple RBIs. Almost 40 and 68 games isn't too bad.
Yeah. No, great points. Hey, catcher's rough this year, like probably one of the roughest years I've ever seen. So another guy could ride a hot hand when I don't see long-term aspirations. But let's move on. Let's talk about Spencer Steer. I added him in the show because we have a little bit of time. Plays for the Cincinnati Reds, first in outfield, 56% owned, and he's having a killer week. 5 runs, 3 bombs, 6 ribs, 2 stolen bases, batting .458 on the week. Now, by no means am I excited for him. I don't think last year is repeatable for him. All the underlying stats say, hey, this isn't reality. This isn't the truth. But, let's take a step back. Let's add him. Let's see how long this can ride. And then, hey, this also might be a valuable add down the stretch because you might be able to trade him and get a little bit of value for him, because I think people might be trying to, if they see him continue the streak for like 2 weeks, he's probably going to get up there in ownership. He was drafted at a pretty good rip before the injury. So I say we go ahead, we add him and see where this journey takes us.
Yeah, Matt, good take on Steer. And, he had that 3 home run game on the 27th with 4 RBIs. Another 3-hit game on June 24th against the Yanks. 3 for 5 in that one with an RBI. He's fast. He's going to steal some bags. He's in the 75th percentile when it comes to sprint speed, getting across those bases pretty quickly. So I think, and he can even hit for a little bit of pop. His pop isn't really what he's known for, but playing there in Great American Small Park in Cincinnati, he's going to give you some home runs. If he gives you 15 homers, 15 steals, a 75 RBI, 75 runs with a 240-ish batting average, that's not going to be horrible. And you know what? What's the worst thing, Matt? Like you said, you sell the name value on him for right now. You sell the 3 home run game, the park, the team, and you might be able to get yourself a nice little haul for a guy like Spencer Steer. But you know what, guys? That is all for today. You know what? We really appreciate you guys listening, our everydayers and new listeners, for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And after you make us your first listen, go and check out over our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. We do our fantasy baseball thing over there. He does, the real world baseball thing, a little bit of a different take on baseball than we do. But listen, we appreciate every single one of you is tuning in. And guys, until next time. So
peace.